Greetings, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. Come on in. My name is Cassandra Faith Floyd, also known as Daughter of the Fates. I am the founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and you are joining me in the temple services. So, like I said last week, I'm actually going to be doing these temple services weekly. Um, because I feel like it's necessary. There are several things I want to discuss today. Um, and there are several books I'm going to pull out today. There's just a lot to discuss today. And the other thing about that is there is a lot going on in the world that I want to make my position clear about. Take this one out, this one, and this one. Okay, yeah, there's a lot in the world that I want to take an official position on. I think it's important. Hey, Maria. Oh, boo, I was thinking about you all week, girl. Um, we should talk today. There's a lot we need to talk about. And I'm a little, Monami, Carlotta, greetings. Thank you all for tuning in. There's a lot that I want to discuss because there's a lot going on, and I feel like because of my, I'm overwhelmed, you guys. And because of that sense of overwhelm, I'm not sad or anything like that. I'm just overwhelmed. A lot has happened this year, and I think a lot of people are overwhelmed, and I think that's also what I'm feeling in my body, right? But because of my overwhelm, I don't think that I have been as disciplined or as what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe virulent. I haven't been as virulent. That's the word I'm sticking with. As I feel like I should be to prepare for what is coming. And I knew, which is why I spent 7 weeks. Which is why I spent 2 years preparing for the 7-week workshop that I did at the beginning of last year. I began that workshop last year in January in preparation for America's First Pluto Returns. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, you can go back to my YouTube videos, which is many weeks of videos, many weeks of lectures that I've posted for free. Thank you, Ruby. Dang. Aw, girl, when I tell you I just rolled out of the bed, I got up at 4 o'clock this morning. I was like, okay, I'm going to get some shit done before the service this morning. I did a little cleaning and organizing and went back to sleep. And when I tell you, it set my alarm clock for 10 o'clock, and like 5 minutes before I went on, I was up. So thank you. But anyway, I'm saying this and I'm prefacing this, and I'm going to take my time because, first of all, we're going to be together for 2 hours. But second of all, man, So much has happened in the last month. So much more is coming in the next month. And every day I am presented with evidence that we have to do more. Those of us that are in the know, those of us that have, you know, kind of seen the writing on the wall, those of us who have been placed as the oddballs on the outskirts of society, those of us who have been, those of us who have been um, reduced to, if you will, the black sheep of our families. Baby, we have work to do, and our break time is over. Now, I'm going to do something really quick because I've got some flashing and I just want to make sure everything is okay. Cropped out layout, group layout, spotlight layout, news layout, screen layout. Let me try this really quick. I'll tell you what, let me try it this way because I can't figure it out. I'll do that later. I got to try to figure out how to, but in the meantime, what we're going to shoot do is this. Oh, no, that didn't work. That didn't work either. Um, yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this rig style because I gotta check on my mom. I see my daughter just messaged me, and I just want to make sure everything is okay at home before I go into a 2 hour piece. But the reason I'm telling you that we have to be ready, yo, that we have to, that there's something, and I know y'all feel it. I just got a phone call yesterday. Um, okay, it ain't nothing urgent. I should have known better. All right. Just got a phone call yesterday. Um, okay. About uh, some things. Then I got this crazy message yesterday. Crazy message. Like, I still haven't figured it out. So I pretty much accepted that the message was some holy shit, truth be told. You understand? I was like, all right, I don't know who this is. I don't know what they going off about, calling me all kind of ugly names, terrible, terrible names. The shit went on and on and on, but it was not coherent at all. It was just like, I know what you did, and you gonna pay, and all of that. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? What the hell? And they blocked me before I could respond and be like, first of all, who the hell is you? I don't think I know you. Are you sure you had the right person? Right? Going off. And I wasn't upset about it. It was really violent, horrible, terrible shit. Um, and at first I was like, am I triggered? And then I was like, no, I'm not triggered. I don't know who this is, and I don't know what they're talking about. And they obviously don't want me to know, or they would have been specific and they would have allowed me to comment back. So I deleted the shit. But I want to say, I think it was just a teaching moment, right? It was like, this is gonna happen a lot. Cassandra, this is about to happen a lot. And Can you be okay with that? Because I'm gonna tell you, I've seen what happens to Black women when they become audacious in their presentation in the world. I have seen what happens particularly to child. Let me take some notes before I forget what I want to talk about. Because I got shit I want to talk about. Um, oh, I knew it. Let me grab a book. There's one more book I wanted to grab. Um, so anyway, I'm not gonna ramble, but I just want to tell you, like, oh shit, go back and watch the videos um, on Pluto's return. Pluto as the mother goddess Oya. Go back and watch every single solid because I'm about to do it. I'm about to go back and watch my own shit because I'm like, you remember that scene? Anybody see Harry Potter? Y'all, first of all, y'all gonna need to know. Y'all gonna need to get used to the fact that I talk in metaphors, and my metaphors are in movies. Okay, y'all gonna have to get comfortable with that. Remember the movie, the Harry Potter movies, and there was the scene where Harry Potter goes in to talk to Dumbledore, and he sees Dumbledore with his magic wand, putting his magic wand to his temple, and he does this little squirrely thing, and when he pulls the wand off of his temple, this little white mist comes out of his head, and he puts the white mist in this big, beautiful crystal bowl. And the bowl is swirling around with all of this white mist. He does it again. Takes this little white mist and puts it in the swirling bowl. And Harry Potter asks him, "What are you doing?" And he says, I'm removing my memories. I'm taking my memories out and I'm putting them in this bowl. I don't need to lose them. But I don't really, this is the subtext. I don't need them to overwhelm me, all of them, at all times. I just need, and I need to be able to go back to the bowl and retrieve them as I need them. But I need to take this out and put it over here somewhere, right? I need to put it over here in the bowl so it's not overwhelming me, my memories. It's not subduing me, my memories. It's not making me sick, the memories of my memories, right? So here you go. We're going to tuck that over there somewhere so it can't do no harm, but I can revisit it if I need to, right? That's what I do. But I don't have a magic crystal bowl. I have journals upon journals upon journals, right? Y'all can't see the writing, but I have journals upon journals, notes upon notes. And I have I have a really beautiful, enormous grimoire. You understand what I'm saying? So I place everything, all of my memories, all of my spells, all of my learnings, all of my worksheets, and I divide them from my witchy shit to my medical shit. This is every significant note that I took in my 4-year master's degree program. Every side note, every dope ass observation that I had, that we made in clinic, or that a teacher gave us as some, rogue ass 411, or some try this treatment. This stayed by me through 4 years of clinic in medical school. This was every observation at a clinic. That book goes with me everywhere. I had my very first grimoire. I started this grimoire, like I have the big bougie one I just showed you, but this one I started in, I want to say 2009 maybe. So this is my very first 2010. Yeah, 2009. Right, my very first grimoire. And this is more my study in Ifa. There's the results of several readings in there, the beginnings. Can y'all see that? The light is striking me odd. The beginnings of my study in astrology, because like I said, I wasn't really into astrology until late in the game. And this started as me just trying to understand these coming astrological occurrences. So I really got into that in 2017 when we experienced the Great American Eclipse of 2017. That's when I really kind of jumped both feet first into the significance of astrology, because even then in 2017, I knew that there was a bunch of stuff coming. We have two great American eclipses coming up very soon. And I started studying those in 2017. So I'm showing you all of this because that little crystal ball of Dumbledore's, that's what we got to do. We have to start writing down everything. We have to start paying attention, not just consuming headlines and then allowing them to make us sick. We actually have to process, think about what it is we are witnessing, right? And put it in the proper context so that we do not become subdued or overwhelmed by what we are witnessing, because what we are witnessing is an illusion. It is not what we're actually witnessing. Oh, Carlotta said, oh, y'all showed up in central Tucson last night. Big hailstorm, destroyed cars and homes. There are power outages with some traffic lights still out. Oh my God, I hope you're safe, sis. Okay. So let me just say, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody that's tuning in on IG. So before I, jump both feet first in, I want to. So my homeboy, Tahir RBG. Oh, one other thing I want to do. During every service is I want to start a trend. I want to start a trend. I hope you hear me. I want to start a trend. This trend is one that I want to be a grassroots, widespread trend. Every temple service, I am going to shout out a different artist. And that artist, what's up, Abasi? Peace to the God, man. That trend, that artist that I shout out, I want you guys, this is the only homework that I don't never give y'all no homework. This is the homework for today. This is what I'm going to do every temple service. For those tuning in late, I have decided to do temple service every Saturday. Come hell or high water, no matter where we at, because the time demands it, okay? So I'm going to shout out an artist. When I shout out the artist, I want you, after the service, to immediately Google this artist. Search this artist, Google this artist, and I want you to purchase something of theirs. I'm going to tell you why I thought about this. Because I did a presentation maybe earlier this week or late last week about me being mad about cultural appropriation as it specifically impacts African people, and how motherfuckers owe, record companies owe, media companies owe, everybody owe. Individuals who have benefited off African culture owe, right? And so I thought about like these streaming services. I thought about, and these streaming services owe, right? Everybody fucking owes, because everybody is looking for an opportunity to come up off of, benefit off of, fucking exploit the culture of African people, with them getting the least or the minimal amount from that which they produce, while everybody else come the fuck up off what they produce. And I've been thinking about this so much lately, especially since I did that rant video, right? So I was like, well, how can people support artists in a way that they are the primary beneficiaries? They are the primary, not the fucking the go-between. The mediator is the primary beneficiary. You get $1 off the shit. How do they? And so I'm gonna try something out, and I am calling on you. This is your homework. The artists that I call out, I want you to Google them. I want you to search them. This is your homework. It's easy shit. It shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes to do. I'm not going to do it. I've already done it. Right? Search them. Their Bandcamp, their Spotify. I don't like these mediums. Search them anyway. See if their Facebook, their Twitter, their IG. And ask them directly, how can I support you in a way where you directly benefit? Do you have a way that I can purchase from you and you directly benefit? Not Spotify directly benefit, not Bandcamp directly benefit. Those are great mediums for mass exposure. That's fine. But if you're going to pay $10, $15 for an album, I just feel like this. I feel like we gotta reignite the Chitlin circuit. And some of y'all are too young to know what the Chitlin circuit is. But we gotta reignite some straight up renegade style support of Black culture, Black art, and Black artists, so that they are one to a pro-evolutionary stance, a pro-evolutionary position. So I'm just going to say, the 3 artists that I've been vibing on all week are underrated. They have probably experienced the changes, because we see this all the time. They probably experienced the changes that they did because they were not supported in a way that allowed them to sustain themselves artistically, or because the music industry does what the music industry does and tries to set one above the rest. Oh, why don't you do this little solo? Your band is holding you back. You feel me? This little solo shit right here, and you'll come up, right? All of that little twisted ass shit. So one band I love so much, forgot, because it'd been so long since I heard them perform until I moved to Hollywood, until I moved to California. And they play in little dodgy ass bars all over the place still. And they are giants among men. I go to a show, there might be 40 people, 50 people at the show watching this enormous, gymongous, long-standing, dope-ass band. And I'm like, this is happening because we have failed to uplift, shine light on, and support the creators of our community. Fishbone is the band. Fishbone is the band. I forgot how genius these Africans are. I did. I have been rocking them hard for weeks now. Fishbone. I was 16 years old the first time I saw that band live. They are genius and underestimated. Research them, message them, ask how you can support them. Fertile Ground from Baltimore. I sent many of you text links of music to check out by Fertile Ground from Baltimore. Search them, message them, seek them out, ask how you can support them. Finally, this one might be a little bit more difficult. You're definitely going to have to reach out to this brother because I know that he has very little available online to purchase. I have his entire catalog. Yeah, I can easily say with confidence, man, and I hear this story a lot too. I can easily say with confidence that this African is one of the unsung, unspoken, quiet giants of revolutionary hip hop. He produced a great percentage of 75 to 85% of everything that Dead Prez did. He produced it. He created the music for it. He did the background like vocals and little hooks for it, though you don't know his name. The man is a genius. Everything he touches is fucking gold, and we don't know his name. And he, like many of us, we're goddamn geniuses, are still struggling to just make ends meet. You feel me? Tahir RBG is a genius. The last album that he produced, full-length album that he produced, is called Hymns of the Whirlwind, which came out in 2016. Now, let me just tell you, the album is not for the faint of heart. The album is not for those that are easily triggered. That's my warning. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not for those easily triggered. It is called Hymns of the Whirlwind. The artwork that he did I don't have it within proximity. I should have, but I didn't think about it until just now. The fucking artwork for the album cover is the most militant and extraordinary shit I have ever seen. It is this beautiful collage of what we call a dystopian world. War scorched earth, you feel me? Sky all dismal, blue, purple, and black and gray, with this fucking picture in the center of the Virgin Mary looking down, right? And behind the Virgin Mary is all these faces, these gray, black, and white faces of all of our major ancestors. Marcus Garvey, Harriet Tubman, Khalid Muhammad, Malcolm X, all Ya Asantewaa, all of these militant ancestors as the faces of the fucking whirlwind. Woo! That album is a banger from beginning to end. Banger. Oh, my disclaimer again. If you easily triggered, if you tender-hearted, you understand? If you blush easily, it ain't the album for you. Just take my word for it and move on to the next thing. You can do his, what's it called? Pyramid Kid volumes. Those are easy, not a lot of cuss words. That's some shit you can rock with. His Pyramid Kid series. Baby, that fucking Hymns of the Whirlwind. That was some Sibylline shit. He would, baby, when I tell you that he was, listen, the whole album is oracle speaking. It is fire. The reason I mentioned these three artists, the reason I mentioned these three artists is because I want us to support Black art in a more like invested and visceral way. And I'm fortunate. I live in California, so Fishbone and its spring offs play around here a lot. I've already seen them twice live. Um, but I want to read something by Tahir. That was the reason that I mentioned the artist thing. I was like, I might as well not put it off to the end. I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna do it now. But so opening up. So we already 30 minutes in, but like this is the official opening. I've been like kind of just chatting with you guys, but I want to officially open by a piece Tahir wrote. It's like a meditation on, I think it's volume 3, Pyramid Kid, his Pyramid Kid series, volume 3, and I love it. It's hot. Finally, I keep bragging about how I haven't had to run my AC in LA yet. And that's part of the thing I'm gonna talk to y'all about is this news. Shit, y'all be wary of the news. You use your own judgment. You have your own conversations. Don't be. News is a business. And its business is to be fantastic. And it's not to be optimistically fantastic. It's to be terroristically and fantastic. So you'd be mindful. This has been one of the mildest summers on record in Los Angeles. It's July 29th. I have not had to run my air conditioning unit once since the summer started. Not one time. But watching the news, you would think everybody in Los Angeles is dropping dead every day. It is not so. Okay? We also need renegade news broadcasters because this shit is getting ridiculous in the news. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get started. This is a piece that Tahir RBG wrote. I'm gonna read it as our opening meditation for today. It's my jam. I come forth triumphantly against my enemies. I split the heavens and open up the horizons. I travel across the earth on the heels of my enemies. I cause the glorious and great ones to come to me, for I am equipped with the words of power. I eat with my own mouth and chew with my own jaw, for I worship God in heaven. And I am given that which endures in the midst of things which are overthrown. Stand back from my path, for I am one with Ra, coming forth across the horizons against my enemies. Who shall not be rescued from me? I have stretched out my hands as the Lord of the crown of Upper Egypt. I lift up my legs as one who hurries the dawn. My enemies shall not escape me. Indeed, they shall fall before me. He has been given to me and shall not be rescued. I stand up as Heru, beloved son and avenger of his father. I sit down as Ptah, God who laid the foundations of the universe. I have grown strong as Tahuti, wisdom exalted. I've become as powerful as Atum, Ra as the perfecter. I walk with my own feet and speak with my own mouth. I pursue my enemies. He is given to me, and he shall not be rescued from me. I have I have entered as a falcon and come forth as a phoenix. Morning star, make way for me, so I may adore Ra in the beautiful paradise of the west. Ashe. That's it. So I wanted to open up with that, and I want to talk about. This is our housekeeping. So let me continue to talk to you about some things that I wanted to get off my chest before I have a discussion about what the topic of the day is for the service itself, because I want to do that uninterrupted, and it may come through anyway in different areas, but let me put this over here for I think I missed it. All right, so some things that may end up coming up again in this service. So I mentioned the news. I mentioned that 5 minutes before I came up on here, I rolled back out of bed. I don't know about you guys, but when I sleep during the day, like my dreams are crazy vivid anyway. I talk in my sleep. But when I take a nap during the day or I sleep during the day, My dreams are so much more. So much more. So when I went back to sleep, I woke up from a dream. It's the only reason I woke up. I woke up from a dream about my political father. My political father is the chairman, Omali Yeshitela. The dream was so vivid. It was so vivid. He was in the dream. His wife, Ona Zane Yeshitela, was in the dream. His ex-wife, Iranith, was in the dream. The chairperson for the African People Solidarity, Penny Hess, was in the dream. Kitty was in the dream. Raya was in. It was so goddamn vivid. I haven't been in the party. I quit the party in 2009. It was so visceral. It was like I was there. Child. It was like I was there. At the Uhuru house, sitting at a table with them. It was so vivid. And I just feel like I should say that. I'm not going to go into it, but I feel like I should say that out loud. That on July 29th, I had this visceral. I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the depth of the content, but it was deep. This visceral dream that I had about the chairman in particular. I will say this, that the theme, because it was really busy and really noisy, but I'll tell you what I believe the theme of the dream was. That I still have a lot yet to purge. That even as I've done, quote, the work, the spiritual work, the political work, all of these areas, but especially the spiritual work, the dream communicated to me that I still have an extraordinary amount of shit to purge. And I mean that literally. I'm not trying to gross you guys out, but in the dream, the one thing that was the big takeaway, even though the dream itself, the conversation, the dialogue was so deep, so visceral, everybody was in this shit. Bakari was in this dream. Like people I haven't seen in well over a decade in this dream, right? Talking to me, going off on me about why I abandoned the people, all this stuff, right? Deep. So I'm at this table taking these shots, but I'm defending myself like, look, this shit ain't what it used to be, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, whatever. We going tit for tat. You feel me? I was like, look, I need to use the bathroom. I get up from this heated ass debate with all these people. I'm the only one defending me. Everybody else at the table is like teamed up. You feel me? So I get up. I was like, look, I got to use the bathroom. Can I use the bathroom? I got an attitude. Can I use the bathroom? I go upstairs to the chairman's personal bathroom, and there's some tea in his office that goes to the bathroom. So I pick up the teacup and I drink this weird green looking tea, like weird green, like creamy green, not like green tea green. And I drink it, swallow the whole thing. I was like, I'm mad. I'm talking to myself. Shit, why I'm even here? I'm going off. I sit on the commode to pee. I think I'm gonna pee. And all of a sudden, I start to evacuate. I start to have a bowel movement. And it won't stop. And I was like, damn, I didn't realize my stomach was fucked up. I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. And it still won't stop. And it's terrible. It's painful. And so I stand up. There's like a dirty clothes hamper right in front of me. So I put my hands on the hamper like this, and I'm just taking deep breaths. Taking deep breaths. When I finish evacuating, that is the clinical term for bowel movement, by the way. When I finish evacuating, I turn around and look down in the commode. And it does not look like a bowel movement. It looks like a sea monster. It is leathery. It is coiled, long, and different colors, and it is very long. I'm not trying to gross you out, but I'm trying to get you to walk with me. So I reach in and grab it. I was like, what the fuck? I'm freaking out. What the hell is this? I reach in to grab it and I start coiling it around my arms as if you would do, you know how you do a rope or like a, like a water hose. You like wrap it around like this. I'm doing this with this thing, this entity I have just evacuated. Okay. And I am looking at it. It's like looking at a car accident. You feel weird about looking at it, but you can't look away. I'm investigating. I'm like, what the fuck is this? What does this mean? Meanwhile, downstairs, there's 20 motherfucking people sitting around the table ready to go back in on me. And I am looking at this entity that has just come out of my body. And I remember looking in the mirror after this evacuation and turning to my peripheral view and thinking, oh my God. I'm looking at my body. I'm looking at my abdomen. And it has gone completely down. And I'm like, oh my God. I have been carrying this shit around like a baby for all this time. Here I was. I thought I was just fat. I thought I was just a big girl. And I have been carrying this shit around this whole time. And that's when I woke up. That was my dream. And that was just a super Cliff's Notes version of the dream. And when I woke up, before I got clear-headed, when I was still in that space between, it was like, you have still much to purge. You still have a lot to unburden. And it's in your abdomen. It's in your core. I was like, damn, does this mean I'm about to have to do like a fast or something? Like, I spent a long time doing that. I was addicted to substance. And that's how I got clean. I started fasting a lot. I was fasting a lot. I quit cold turkey. But in order to deal with like the side effects and the night terrors and the urges and the cravings, I fasted a lot. I spent a lot of years doing that shit. Fasting for 14 days. Oh, I was like, God, I'm almost 50. I don't want to do that no more. You know what I'm saying? But I woke up from this dream like, bitch, you're going to have to fast. Because you got too much to purge to be trying to do this shit easy, gentle-like. Anyway, I'm oversharing. But anyway. So that's the dream I woke up from. So I wanted to just put that out. One, when I left the party, I wasn't the only one devastated. My mom was like, what are you doing? This has been your life for 12 years. What are you doing? Right? Are you sure? I cried for so long. I grieved leaving the party. I did. I grieved leaving the party. Like, I did. And everybody who has left the party grieves. Everybody who leaves the organization grieves. I did for a long time. And the abandonment, that if you ain't with us, you can't fuck with us. We all experience that. And I didn't realize that I was still impacted by that. And this dream was vivid, crystal clear. There's so many human beings in that organization that I love. They were my family, closer to me in a lot of ways than my blood family. And once I left the party, I did not exist anymore. And I don't think I ever sat with fully, because I was in the midst of so much. I was in medical school and I was newly married, and that was chaotic in its own way. And two more kids, two more teenagers moved into my house. It was a lot. And so I don't think I ever had adequate time to sit with the grief that comes with the loss of one relationship, which was with the party as an ideology. But with the parting ways and the loss of that relationship with the party, I lost an entire family. And I ain't talking about a few motherfuckers. I'm talking about going to England annually and sleeping on the chairperson's couch or floor. We knew people everywhere. Everywhere we went, we was family. We was tight. We looked out. We cooked for each other. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I ever fully took the time to recover from the loss of that relationship with the party. And I think that is not the only thing the dream was telling me. Was in the chaos of my life at that time, I don't think I was so much more relieved that my husband left, because he was on the run. He went, overseas, and I asked for the divorce, but he, due to circumstance, was not physically there. So it was just me, his kids, and my daughter. I don't think I ever fully took the time. We've been separated now 10 years. I don't think I ever fully took the time to adequately grieve the ending of that relationship with my ex-husband, because early on, grief was not what predominated. It was a toxic combination of rage and relief. I just wanted the shit to be done. I just wanted it over. It was so burdensome and toxic that I was literally finding excuses to not come home at night. I was in medical school, so it wasn't difficult to come up with excuses. I went to school. I had to commute for an hour to school every day. And so I could just say, I need to get a hotel room across the street from the school because I have to study. I have to cram for this test, and I'm not going to be able to do that at home with you and the kids. But I was literally looking for regular excuses to not come home when he was there. And so I don't think I ever actually spent enough time grieving the loss of that relationship and the cataclysmic impact that it had on our children. And it did. They are still impacted by our separation. They loved each other. They love each other still. And I don't think I ever took enough time, one, to talk to them, but two, to make amends for, to show up for them in a way, because I didn't take time to grieve myself. I didn't take time to process myself. I was just glad it was over when it was finally over, right? And subsequent to that, I was engaged. And I never took, because of my life, I was overwhelmed. There was so much going on in my life. I had just been in a terrible car accident. I was in treatment. Again, this whirlwind of shit that made it so that I did not have adequate time to process and to grieve not only grieve, to really experience the full range of rage that I had deserved to experience. with the ending of my relationship to that person that I was engaged to. I don't. And I had thought about that shit. None of it. None of those three scenarios I thought about in any deep way at all in a very long time. Until this nap that I took today in preparation for this service. Now, why am I telling you this, and why is it important? Why would I wake up from a dream where spirit tells me in pure language, you still have much you need to move the fuck out of the way. You still have an enormous amount of trauma, of emotional grief and rage and fear and sadness that is sitting in your body like a creature, consuming everything you eat, all the oxygen you take in, all the water, oh my God, you consume. You have much that you still need to purge. Yup, you done did a lot of work. Yup, you done sat in ceremony. Yup, you done did ayahuasca. Yup, you done sat in Nipi. You know what I'm saying? You done been in the lodge. Yet you still have much to move out of the way. So why am I telling you this, and why am I sharing this with you? I was having a conversation with a potential client this week. And this was kind of like she wanted to know if my services, we did like a preliminary call so she could see if I was a good fit for what she needed. And I told her, well, unlike a lot of therapists in my field, I actually go deep into your emotional background because that's where the gems are. That's where the healing is. That's what we need to dig up and root out. And in my estimation, so in this medicine, in traditional Chinese medicine, I want y'all to walk with me. I swear I'm not all over the place. Y'all know me. It takes me a minute. I walk a little. I take little detours, but I always come back to the center. Okay? Just walk with me. In Chinese medicine, you have this idea of what we call the harmony of opposites. That's the yin yang. The yin yang is a pictorial, adaptation of the concept of the harmony of opposites, right? You have this concept within that concept called treating based on the 8 principles, okay? The 8 principles are all the possible oppositions, okay, that you have to account for when you're treating someone. Is the condition. These are observatory oppositions. When a person comes in front of you, are they presenting with hot symptoms, or cold symptoms? Are they presenting with excess conditions or deficient conditions? Are they presenting with wet or dry? Right? So on and so forth. Is the condition yin or is it yang? Okay, so with these 8 principles, observing the person, you would use the opposite to treat. If they present with hot symptoms or hot signs, what are hot symptoms or hot signs? A rapid pulse, a red eyes, a malar flush if they're light complected, meaning they got red cheeks, right? If they present with hot symptoms, you would use cold or cooling herbs to treat the condition. This is the harmony of opposites. If the condition is a dry condition, you would treat with damp treatments, damp or wet treatments. This is the harmony of opposites. The reason I'm mentioning this within the context of me still having tons and tons that I need to purge, right? That comes out in what looks like a fucking slippery, leathery dragon when I go to evacuate my bowels, right? I was just talking to this potential client yesterday, and I was saying, it is my position. It is not one that I have heard anybody else repeat, though I'm sure it's common sense in the, in the medicine. It's my position that what plagues people, particularly in Western society, but not exclusively, the primary cause and source of all of our illnesses, all of our diseases, everything that plagues us, everything that is wrong with us, even if we present with deficiency, that deficiency is based in emotional excesses. This story that I just told you about how in 12 years of my life, I have not taken adequate time to process these extraordinarily huge transitions in my life. The relationship with my political father and the organization that he leads. The marriage, the only time I've been married with the person that I knew I was going to be married to for forever, because we shared a unity of will and vision and shit. The impact that separation had on our children that is obvious in them today, that they have not been given the adequate tools to process for themselves their own particular grief from that separation between me and my ex-husband. The separation between me and my ex-fiance that was plagued with betrayal. That short engagement to my ex-fiance was more devastating than my separation from the man that I married and loved and supported for years. The separation from my ex-fiance in 2016, on my birthday, 2016, was so goddamn traumatic because it was plagued with betrayal. I gave so much trust to him so quickly because of his station in the world. I had not been in an intimate partner relationship since that day, my birthday, 2016. I haven't been in another intimate personal relationship. I haven't had a boyfriend. I've had lovers. I haven't had a committed relationship to another human being since September 14th, 2016. And so in this just moving through shit that we all do in some way or another, some people rebound. I do the opposite. When I end a relationship, it'll take me 2, 3, 4 years before I'm even having sex with another person. Right? So we deal in different ways, but my way wasn't addressing the extraordinary amount of pain that came as a consequence of the ending of these relationships, these defining relationships for me. Every one of them were defining relationships for me. And then I won't even go into that, but I'm saying that because I'm always still trying to process shit as a healer, even within myself. So I'm talking to this potential client yesterday, and she was like, all right, well, what I need from you is something more than regular practitioners can do for me. And so I told her what I do, and that my belief is that Americans in particular are suffering from diseases of excesses. Now, in the Bible talks about diseases of I forget what they called it. It was like diseases of wealth or something. Like when you have too much wealth, and you're surrounded by opulence, you can just have and have and have. And so there are these diseases that come as a consequence of just like wealth. Well, I understood that concept as a kid, but as a practitioner, as a student of Chinese medicine, I was like, these diseases of excess are about the accumulation, some of us a lifetime accumulation of unprocessed, unresolved, and unexpressed emotional excesses. We go from one trauma to another, and homeopathy teaches us this. We have our foundational traumas, and they don't go away if they're not addressed. And then every trauma lays on top of it like layers of an onion for years and years. Just untreated, unresolved, unexpressed trauma after another. Just piling on like layers of an onion until finally you have some physical manifestation of these years of unresolved trauma. That's what this dream was about. Is that you're carrying around 1,000 pounds of unprocessed shit that you can't move forward without purging. So that's one thing. So I didn't mean to go off that long about that dream, but it was important. It was obviously impactful. Some other things. Okay, so I did the shout out to the artist. All right. Okay. So I'm going to get to the theme. It's we're an hour in, almost exactly an hour into the service, and I want to make this a more inspiring, uplifting, positively affirming transition. So the theme for today is Mommy and I Are One. That's the theme for today's service. Let me take a drink. Let me actually adequately transition. So the theme for today, first of all, let me pause because I've been talking a lot. Does anybody have any comments? Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any input? Anybody have any opinions that they would like to share? Anybody have any events that they would like to put out? Anything? The next 5-10 minutes is all y'all. So communicate with me. So I'm going to read through some of these comments. Okay, we read about that. Yup. Fishbone, yes. Oh, so underrated. I saw this little mini documentary about them, about how they basically got screwed by the record industry, by their label, because so many of the people that were over them were like obviously racist and refused to market them certain ways, and like they're giants. And I'm trying to, I can't remember. Dr. Mad Vibes. Okay, so that's who he performs as now, is Dr. Mad Vibes and something. That's who the front man performs as now, but they still perform a lot of Fishbone's old joints. So like So Many Millions. That's the joint I would tell you to search out. So Many Millions. That's the song y'all need to search today. So Many Millions. Okay? But yeah. Fire. Extraordinary musicians, extraordinary bands. So underrated. Every fucking body black skinned needs to have at least one Fishbone album in their possession. At least one. I'm telling you. All right. What else? Ain't nobody speaking to me today? It's Saturday. I know y'all awake. It's noon. No announcements. No feedback. I've just said a lot of heavy shit. No feedback. No observations. What did y'all dream about last night? I'm sitting here talking about my dream. What did y'all dream about? going to say this before we go into Mommy and I Are One. And I'm going to say something about this very briefly. People are going crazy. That was another reason that I was mentioning the emotional excesses. Because people are going crazy. And it is going to happen more starkly and more starchly as we go in to this new period. And what I mean by going crazy, I even saw a news broadcast that was expressing concern about the rise in psychotic events, psychological breaks in the general population. That has happened to someone close to me. Someone called me and said, so in LA, they have like an emergency response team so that like you don't have to call the police when somebody is having a psychological event, when somebody is having a psychotic break or a psychological emergency. Where you fear they're going to harm themselves or harm someone else, you don't have to get the police involved. You can call this hotline, and they have an emergency response team that can help out with psychological or psychotic events. So this kid calls me at 11 o'clock at night saying we called the hotline, and they were saying that on that day they had such an uptake in calls that they had to respond to that they probably would not get to their call until midnight the next day. Then this news report about an uptake in psychotic events, psychotic breaks. I just listened to NPR a couple of days ago coming out of the mountains, and they were saying that the heat is going to continue to exacerbate these psychotic incidences, right? And how one of the professors, I think she was from UCLA, one of the professors talked about, this is a side note, but she talked about how LA had a history, because she was talking particularly about this aggression by one of the studios here against the strikers. So what they did, I don't know if this has been on the news elsewhere, but it's been like all over the news here, and an attempt to, like attack the strikers in front of one of the studios. The studios paid random dudes to come and trim all the trees along the sidewalk that had this beautiful tree cover, this canopy of trees. And the strikers were using the canopy to protect themselves from the sun while they were striking. The fucking studio paid these men to come and cut away all of the canopy. And so the city controller, Kenneth Mejia, awesome as he is, said that nobody had received any permits to do that and fined the studio company because it was an obvious act of aggression against the strikers. But this professor is saying that's not new in the city of California. That you can look at an aerial map of the city of Los Angeles, and there is a history of this city using climate as a weapon against the marginalized. Those were her exact words. That was a quote. There is a history of this city using climate as a weapon against the marginalized. She said, so when you look at an aerial view of the map of Los Angeles, where primarily Black people are, all of the canopy has been removed. There are no trees except a few like palm trees decorating these communities, but all of the old trees have been removed all over southern and south central LA, where primarily Black people are. And the excuse that was used was to remove the canopy to make it easier to search for criminals via helicopters. So all of the trees, and I used to say that, I was like, damn, why there ain't no trees? in the South Side, but you go everywhere else where the white people live, and there's canopies, there's trees, even in the city areas, even in the city populated areas, like like where the buildings are, not just the rural communities or the neighborhoods, but there's trees every fucking where. But as soon as you go into the South Side, all of the trees, any kind of big tree has been removed, right? Several trees have been replanted with male trees so that people cannot eat fruit that would grow naturally. There used to be orange trees along the streets in LA, apparently. And, the homeless people could just go and pick avocados and oranges and grapefruit and shit like that. And they removed all the female trees so that the homeless people couldn't eat the fruit from the trees, and replanted them with male trees. And so she was like, these are examples of the city of Los Angeles using climate as a weapon against the oppressed, against the marginalized. So, so she was talking about how that is going to contribute to a continued rise in the temperature of Los Angeles, and that they have these shading projects where they build these like canopies, these shades over like bus stops and shit, where people have to sit for long periods of time or whatever. She was like, but we have to replant the trees, we have to, all this stuff. So, because she said this is going to continue, the story was actually about, these instances of psychotic breaks, right? And how heat is going to play a role. She even talked about how, through different major cities, they've done research for decades about how the rate of crime increases with the rise in temperature. That's why the summer months tend to be more violent. There tends to be more violence in the summer months. Now, from a Chinese medicine perspective, I could run down the pathology of how that occurs, but it is a real phenomenon, and they've been taking statistical data on that for many, many decades. So I'm just telling you to be mindful, to be careful, to hydrate, and drinking water is not enough to hydrate. If you drink purified water, you need to be, putting electrolytes in your water. If you drink reverse osmosis water or filtered water, you need to be remineralizing your water. If you want to make just a basic hydration solution for yourself, do that. If you don't want to, because I'm not a proponent of like Gatorade or stuff like that. It has too many other things that are problematic. But you can do something as simple as juicing a watermelon, cutting up slices of cucumber and lemon, throwing it in your pitcher of water and keeping it in the refrigerator, and that's the water that you drink. Water cut with watermelons or watermelon juice, cucumbers, and lemon, and that's enough to provide you with the electrolytes that you need to be hydrated, not to just drink water because you're thirsty, but to actually fuel your cells and to protect your fucking brain in the midst of what is being coined a radical heat wave. So that's my little health information for you. Let's see. I theorize that there are parasitic spells trapped in our guts. A lot of what you're speaking about, specifically emotional healing, I've been saying for years to my family and friends. Okay. And let's see. My Amy says, yes, I've had some wild dreams, dreaming while sleeping. Cinnamon basically is agreeing. Came in late. I wish I heard it all. That's okay. It's recorded. You can go back and revisit. Yeah. So yeah, be mindful, especially with your water consumption. I've been taking a lot of teas. I just started drinking cannabis leaf tea from the male plant because I don't get high. I don't consume cannabis at all. I don't like to be high. I don't like the feeling of high. Weed gives me headaches. I don't consume cannabis at all. But I was with a friend and he was juicing the male plants, and I made a tea from the pulp after he juiced it. I've never had so much energy. When I tell you, no high, no side effects, just mad energy. And so I've been drinking that along with passion flower extract, passion flower, pau d'arco. What else? Um, oh, I've been having. I get these weird. Only on my. That's why I know I got to purge. This is my SI channel, my small intestine channel. And every time I get something happens emotionally, I break out. Just on my. You see these little speckles? That's just from a recent breakout. Only the only place, only on my SI channel. That's been for years. When I was in the height of my divorce, this breakout was so bad it looked like somebody had burnt me. It looked like somebody had burnt me all over. So I'm about to have to do this purge, y'all. I don't want to do it, but I gotta buckle down. I gotta do like some kind of detox or fast. I think it's gonna have to be a fast. But anyway, so just be mindful. Take your herbs. Be gentle with yourself. If you feel like you need to take a nap in the middle of the day, don't feel guilty about it. Do what your flesh calls on you to do. Trust your flesh. It'll never steer you wrong. You understand? Make sure you're drinking electrolyte rich water and make sure that you're journaling. That story that I told you earlier about Dumbledore pulling out his memories and placing them somewhere because you don't want to forget them. They're necessary, but you want to put them somewhere where they can no longer do harm. They're not preoccupying. They're not overwhelming. They're not creating excess in your brain. So get yourself a good journal or grimoire or whatever, and everything you can just start dumping in there. I also have a book that I just started, another journal that I just started. That is, that's my survival journal. I used to teach survivalism classes years ago, and I used to do the medical aspect. It was a group of us. It was a brother who was an ex-Marine who was teaching the self-defense and weapons portion of the survival classes. It was another brother with another brother and a sister who were members of the local Nation of Islam who were teaching the land acquisition and gardening, preserving food aspect of the workshop. And then I was doing the CPR and first aid training of our survivalism course. We were primarily targeting young people, between the ages of like 14 and 25 with these survival training classes. But that's some shit that we need to be collectivizing doing again is survival training, how to navigate the coming restructuring of the shit, because it's coming. One of the things I would encourage people to do, which I've been doing for quite some time, I need to update it, is get yourself a little black book. This is a survival tip. Get yourself a little black book. I have my little black book coordinated with the star system in order of importance. So I have a little star system here. You see, I have a little star system here. And then within the book, depending upon who people are to me, how vital their information is, I have little stars by their name. Do what you got to do. But everybody in your phone who is of any significance or importance, should the shit hit the fan. And I am not an extremist. I used to be an extremist in terms of my certainty, that the shit was gonna hit the fan and we was gonna end up in a zombie apocalypse or some bullshit. You feel me? And so I used to be. I'm not. I'm still an optimist, right? I am a practical optimist, a pragmatic optimist, but an optimist nonetheless. But either way, if your phone goes out, I have a compass in my car. I have an atlas, one of those old school truck driver atlases that I got at one of the truck stops, which has all the roads of every single state, a truck driving atlas. I have one in my car right now. Get yourself an atlas. Get yourself a little black book. Everybody in your phone right this minute who is of any importance or significance to you, put their name, their number, and their snail mail, their physical address in your book. And I would say not only their physical address, but if you can, take your GPS and put that GPS in your phone and go ahead and write their numerical coordinates. just in case. That way you can always find where your people's is if you have to drive and you can't take the freeway. If you have to, you feel me? If you have to get there and the address is not enough, you need the numerical, because when you're reading an atlas, you may need the numerical coordinates as opposed to the physical mailing address. Those are just good habits to be in general. I have another little black book that has all of my passwords in it. If something happens to me, if I'm in a car accident or, God forbid, I die prematurely, there is information that my family will need access to. They will need to know how to get into my laptop. They will need to know how to find my vital paperwork. They will need to know how to get access to my advance directives and how I want my body to be dealt with in the event that I pass away. What I want based on my tradition, my body, how I want my body to be handled, right? How do they get access to that if you don't talk to your peoples regularly? If you haven't sent them something directly that tells them I have a life insurance policy. I haven't talked to my mom about that. I was like, oh, I need this. You feel me? So let me go ahead and just do it. It's just one of those practical things that you do. But I've had an official conversation with my mother about my life insurance policy and the beneficiaries and so on and so forth. So I have all that information here, but I have a book that now tells anybody who comes in here and who needs access to it how to enter into my laptop, the passwords to enter into my checking account, my savings account, how to deal with the financial aspect of my life so people's lives aren't thrust into chaos if something happens to me. And Black people in particular, we don't have these conversations often enough and in depth enough. So I just want to encourage us, as the world is changing, we have to take precautions that are pragmatic, practical precautions, so that we aren't on the ass end of progress if the society is completely reshaped and restructured. We're ahead of the curve instead of fucking playing radical catch up. And these are small things that we can do that, to secure ourselves, to secure our families, to tell our friends and family. It's not a big deal. Get yourself a little black book in case anything happens with your phone. Put names, addresses, and snail mails in it, or address coordinates, so we can know how to link up with each other should anything happen to the grid. And stop acting like it's unreasonable to expect that, when just a hot second ago, 170,000 Chinese people could not access their goddamn money in the bank account. How damn near half the country was taken off grid. They could not get into their emails. They couldn't get online. Stop acting like this is unfeasible for us. We are not indestructible as, quote, the United States of America. We are not untouchable as the United States of America. If it can happen someplace like China, it can happen here. So just be prepared instead of saying, damn, I wish I would have. Okay? All right. That's my little diatribe about that. So I gave y'all some little health tips. I gave y'all some survival strategy tips. Now let's talk about Mommy and I Are One and why. So when I read The Great Cosmic Mother, again, live, beginning, I think it was February. It was February of 2022. No, was it 20? Yeah. February of 2022, I read The Great Cosmic Mother online. If you have your book, take your book out. This church. If you have your Bible with you, take it out and turn with me to page 28. Let the church say amen. I'm going to wait a minute. If you have your copy of The Great Cosmic Mother, I'm not being funny. Please take it out if you can. I'm going to tell you why we're talking about Mommy and I Are One today. I got one amen. All right, Abasi, I see you. One of the tasks of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence I've been saying this since the beginning. He said, Cinnamon said, I literally had it right here on my desk. One of the tasks, and I'm serious about this, is we have to redefine everything. When I told y'all yesterday, the task of the world changer, the task of the architects of the future, is we have to redefine every phenomena on earth set in place by patriarchy. We have to redefine everything. Language has to be redeveloped. That's what they did. Remember this brother telling me he went on a barefoot doctoring excursion where you go out into the wilderness and you identify all the medicinal herbs in an area. And so the person that was leading the barefoot doctoring class was calling the names of the herbs, the Latin name, the English name, the common name, and that's it. And so this dude who was indigenous, who's native, was like, are we just going to ignore the fact that all of these plants had names given to them by the native people before Europeans got here? Are we just going to ignore the native names of these plants? And the person leading the excursion was just like, oh man, I never thought about that. I don't know the native names. And this dude was like, that is the work of the radical. That's the work of the revolutionary, is to redefine phenomena. He's like, we got to change all this shit. He's like, every body part is British or Latin, English or Latin. He's like, we got to redefine everything, and that's a fact. So, yeah, the reason I was saying that is because the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, we have to develop a language that is peculiar to us. I don't want, quote, the church to say amen. You know what I'm saying? So we have to come up with a cultural language that's peculiar to us, right? But in the meantime, okay, so everybody's telling me they got their book. So everybody turn with me to page 28. Now, for those of you who are just joining the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, just getting hip to the game or what have you, what I did early on in the reading and in the book club that we were doing around the Great Cosmic Mother, and I still encourage it. It makes navigating this book so much easier. Was what I did was had everybody number the paragraphs. This is so weird. Like this streamline, it's like I guess like a reverse mirror. So every time I move left, it looks like I'm moving right. So it's weird. So anyway, so you can see here, I have my paragraphs numbered, just like in the Bible. So when the preacher say, turn with me the page to, John 4 to 24 to 34 or whatever, they know exactly where to turn. Boom, in an instant. I was like, that's genius. We should do every book like that. Every book. That way you're not searching aimlessly trying to find your references or whatever. So when I say turn to page 28, we're going to go to verse 28. Is that where we're going to go? No, we're going to go to page 29, verse 33. This is where we're going to start. I want you to read along because this is the topic for our discussion today. Modern sickness is that of disconnection. The ego unable to feel an organic part of the world except via chemical and popular cultural addictions. But when the healers, the physicians of mind and body, do not know themselves what it is we need to be connected to, how can they solve the syndrome of disconnection? When the ego lets itself go, sinks down into the oceanic all oneness of the beginning and its peace, the shrinks call this a regression. They have virtually defined mature mindedness as a state of permanent alienation. The I chronically differentiated from the all. What this amounts to is that the mature mind is the male mind rejecting his mother. That's what maturity is. It is the male mind rejecting his mother. Within Western culture, whenever the doors of perception open, ever so little to let us catch a glimpse of the holographic cosmic mind within each of us, we are in danger of being locked up for psychiatric observation and given tranquilizers and other cures for the madness. The established patriarchal institutions all have a vested interest in keeping the individual mind disconnected from the experience of cosmic oneness, because this disconnection is patriarchy. Didn't we talk about this yesterday? This disconnection is patriarchy. The bulk of patriarchal industries, drugs, alcohol, entertainment media, fashion and cosmetics, pornography, the tourist business, polyester suited politics, drive in religious sermons, interstate freeway systems, you name it, exist and profit solely by selling monetary diversions to multitudes of quietly desperate people seeking anesthetic escape from the pain of a personal alienation. And what in ancient times was experienced as our super consciousness, within which we needed to we within it which we perceived the I thou of the ego dissolving into the cosmic being of oneness, and whereby we received understanding, wisdom, transcending dualism, magic perception, and healing powers, is now wholly submerged within us and termed the unconscious. And the psychotherapeutic establishment, including Jungians, portrayed this unconscious as essentially a frightening and threatening realm, the dark jungle within us, the place of orgiastic desires, cannibal land, the black hairy forest full of beasties, i.e., the pagan, the female, the dark. A ring of terror is placed around the unconscious for patriarchal political reasons, to keep us in a permanent state of fear and distrust in regard to our own innermost beings and vis-a-vis the vast cosmos which is within us. Patriarchy manipulates and profits from this chronic state of fear and alienation. And Western religious and social history can be read as one long attempt to repress the cosmic female by keeping this fearful alienation institutionally alive and intact. Students of mythology find that when the feminine principle is subjected to sustained attack, as it was from the medieval Christian authorities, it often quietly submerges. Under the water, where organic life began, it swims through the subconscious of the dominant male society, occasionally bobbing back to the surface to offer a glimpse of the rejected harmony. Oh my God. Patriarchal politics, religion, and psychotherapy are always there, militant and quick to tell us that this rejected harmony is childish, illusionary, crazy, blasphemous, and unpatriotic. And we should know by now its reason for doing so. But a breakthrough in some very interesting clinical experiments conducted between 1975 and 1979, a variety of female, male, and adolescent psychotherapy patients who received the subliminal message, "Mommy and I are one," flashed on a stethoscope screen, were much more successful and permanently successful at losing weight, stopping drinking and smoking, and overcoming emotional problems to improve reading skills. Overcoming emotional problems to improving reading skills. Then were patients receiving neutral or no subliminal messages. Y'all heard? Designed by psychologist Lloyd Silverman of New York University and described in his book, The Search for Oneness, these studies show that successful overcoming of problems, i.e., mature development, does not come from severing the early infantile sense of unity with the mother, but from re-establishing it. I'm gonna read that sentence. These studies show that successful overcoming of problems, i.e., mature development, does not come from the severing of the early infantile sense of unity with the mother, but from re-establishing that connection. The holistic point of ancient women's religion was that the mother is not one's personal maternal parent solely, but the entire community of women, the entire living earth, and beyond this, the entire surrounding and ongoing cosmic process. One could not be alienated because one is always within this process, as it always is within the self, unless, of course, such knowledge is suppressed from the outside by patriarchal conditioning. Truly, our very sanity is at stake with continuing patriarchy and the denial of the cosmic self, the goddess within all of us, and us within her. Oh my God, child. Oh my God. That's it. That's the reading. That is the basis for today's discussion. Mommy and I are one. And now I spent so much time talking to y'all about everything else. We got to move through this. So when I read this portion of the book many years ago, this part of the book I was so moved by because I'm a nerd. I'm a scientist. I always want to know about dope ass studies that basically confirm what the ancients have always said, right? So I looked for the book that this particular section referenced, The Search for Oneness, which was a compilation of the details of this study conducted by Lloyd H. Silverman. This book is out of print. This book was stupid expensive. I think this book ended up costing me like $250, but I knew it was important. So this is the book, The Search for Oneness. And this, unfortunately, will not be a book that I will be reading online like I have others, because this is literally the compilation of a scientific study. It is a lot of techno talk that I don't want to have to be responsible for translating into layman's terms. But one of the things that was interesting that I will read is specifically about the section that she mentions. Okay, so let's see. Man, this book. Ooh, yeah, this book is so good. But baby, when I say the techno talk is deep. All right. So this particular section is on the studies of schizophrenia. And let's see. Okay, so this section is entitled, How Important is the reference to oneness? Kaplan, 1976, was the first to investigate the question as to whether a reference to oneness was essential to the pathology reducing message. Because all up until this point, so this is page 80, all up until this point, they've been talking about what is different from the messaging of Mommy and I Are One, as opposed to all of the other messaging that they used. And they used a ton of other messaging subliminally, and none of them had the permanent impact that Mommy and I Are One had. So this is them trying to understand how important is the concept of oneness in this messaging, right? So she carried out her study with the same type of population that had shown pathology reduction in earlier studies. 80 male schizophrenic patients scored as relatively differentiated on the measure described earlier. These patients were randomly assigned to one of 4 groups, each of which received 2 stimulus conditions. One condition for all 4 groups involved subliminal exposure to people are walking. That was the message. People are walking. This message that had served as a control in many of the earlier studies. The second stimulus condition, and as before, the experimental and control stimuli were presented in reverse order to half the participants. That varied. For one group, it was Mommy and I Are One. For the second group, Mommy feeds me well. For the third group, Mommy is always with me. And for the fourth group, I cannot hurt Mommy. The results of this study were strong and clear cut. For the first group, Mommy and I Are One stimulus, when contracted with the control, reduced pathology. Now they're talking, okay. Listen, your ears open, y'all hearing? The result of this study were strong and clear cut. For the first group, Mommy and I Are One stimulus, when contrasted with the control, reduced pathology on both the measures that have been used in the experiments with schizophrenics under review. Pathological thinking and pathological behavior were significantly reduced. Are y'all hearing me? I need somebody on this shit here to communicate with me. Are y'all hearing what I just said? Are y'all internalizing what I just said? We got to figure out a way. I tried to do this on Zoom, but when I do open Zooms, fucking trolls be coming in trying to like sabotage the shit. You feel? We got to find a way to communicate better as the temple for the services, because I'm gonna need some feedback from y'all about what we are doing. Okay? It says pathology pathological behavior and pathological thinking were greatly reduced. It says the results were clear and strong and clear cut. Okay? For the other three groups, on the other hand, there was no difference between the experimental and the control conditions on either measure. What are the implications of this finding? For one, it demonstrates that the stimulus must contain more than a reference to mommy. That's not enough. In order to be pathology reducing, listen. Oh my God! What are the implications for this finding? For one thing, it demonstrates that the stimulus must contain more than a reference to mommy in order to be pathology reducing. For another, that even when mommy messages sound a note of reassurance, as did each of the messages presented to the latter three groups, they are insufficient to produce the ameliorative outcome. Y'all ain't hearing. What is the title of this section? How important is the reference to oneness with mommy? That referencing mommy is not enough. That the belief distributed subliminally into the subconscious that mommy and I are one is the determining factor for ameliorating pathological thinking and pathological behavior in schizophrenics. This is so deep, and this is why I'm telling you, they always know. What would be the use of a study like this in opposition? To take the findings of a research like this conducted in 1976 to produce the opposing outcome, which we are experiencing, like I told you, today, where news broadcasters are warning about increasing, seemingly random psychotic breaks in the general population. And then she says in this book in 1986 or 1987 that all modern sickness is based in the disconnection of us from her. You feel me? Y'all ain't rocking. I should hear organs playing. I should hear people stomping on the ground, shouting. Finally, it should be noted that Kaplan conceived of each of the three non-ameliorative mommy messages as implying a fantasized satisfaction of one of the needs proposed in Chapter 3 as served by a symbiotic-like gratification. The need to allay fears of mother's loss, mommy is always with me. The need for oral satisfaction, mommy feeds me well. And the need to defend against aggressive intent, I cannot hurt mommy. The failure of these stimuli to affect the schizophrenics in the same way as mommy and I are one stimulus most likely means one of two things. Either the oneness stimulus is ameliorative because it satisfies a need not included among the three listed above, or it has its positive effects because of its ability to satisfy more than one of those needs. We will return to these alternate possibilities in Chapter 6. Baby, this book was well worth every one of the $250 I paid for it. You feel me? If you can find it, it is out of print. And it was hard to find. But if you can find it, go ahead and invest in it. Take your time to read with it. I'm going to be reading and referencing this more. So today, Mommy and I Are One is the topic for discussion. I read these two sections from The Great Cosmic Mother, Rediscovering the Religion of the Earth. that referenced the study conducted in 1976 from detailed in the Search for Oneness. Because recently, I'm getting to something. Because recently, we read a book, and as soon as I read the book, I knew this day was coming. That we were going to be talking about Mommy and I Are One and referencing this book. We recently read the book, The Sibyls, the first prophetesses of Mami Wata, and the theft of African prophecy by the Roman Catholic Church. The Sibyls, the first prophetesses of Mami Wata, and the theft of African prophecy by the Roman Catholic Church. Now, why would I bring this book up, which was highly political and historical, in a discussion about a 1976 study that showed the amelioration of psychotic tendencies in schizophrenics just by receiving the subliminal messaging, Mommy and I are one, for a brief period of time. Who is Mommy? It is Mami Wata. It is the many faces and manifestations of the one, the she, the her. And I was like, yes. I didn't know anything about Mami Wata a few hot years ago. Not in detail, not deep, not studied, right? Now when I read this book, now when I read The Great Cosmic Mother, Rediscovering the Religion of the Earth, not when I read The Search for Oneness, I had not been studied, well versed, because Mami Wata is not a deity that is discussed very heavily in Ifa tradition. She is referenced because a lot of people say that Mami Wata is Yamaya, right? But to just be having long, like, temple discussions about that didn't happen. So I had a very basic, nominal understanding of Mami Wata as an archetype. So here I am, 2023, for the first time reading the Sibyls, the prophetesses of Mami Wata, and I'm like, this is the Mami, whether she knew it or not, that Barbara Moore was referencing when she said the cure to all that ails us and our outwardly imposed separation from self and from her, the cure for all that ails us is Mommy, as evidenced by clinical, psychological, peer-reviewed research detailed in the Search for Oneness in 1976. I know, it's so deep. I have those same parts highlighted that in myself is some deep information and healing that all need. Yeah. I know it's deep, but this is the answer. And so, how do we take peer review? When I'm telling you, I hope you walk with me. This is the work of the evolutionary artist, to listen to what the oracles have to say about what the mother is communicating to the many, and then to articulate it in a language that is consumable by the masses who need be made well by this information. Do you understand what I am saying? This is the work of the evolutionary artist, the painter, the dancer, the orator, the poet, the singer, the musician. It is to listen to what the oracle is saying, to what is being fed to her from the mother. And then to create a language, to create a culture permeated with this information. So that it spreads through the human heart as quickly and as collectively, as instantaneously as the mythological angel of death swept away the firstborn of the evil Egyptians holding the captives and shit. We need to reverse every spell cast on human beings. This is how it will be done. I'm not trying to be cryptic. I am not trying to be mystical at all. I am talking slowly and clearly, hopefully communicating simply what our task is, because it is not difficult. It's not. And I think that's the thing that scares people or makes people apprehensive about, quote, world-changing work, is that we always see it as mystical and complicated and hard to decipher and laborious and like trudging through the mud in a war type situation, laying on our belly, crawling through fucking razor wire. None of that shit. That's not the work. Not in this period. That's not the work. Though we are regularly being told that that is the work, that it will be impossible for us to change the world. That's what the news does. That's what movies do, is to always reassure us that it is impossible for us to change the world. That's what the narrative has to be. And so, for us, it tells us, it teaches us what the work is. The work has to be made simple. It has to disseminate quickly through the hearts of human beings. We have to stop talking to people's heads and expecting that it is going to transform them. It will not. It is the language of the mother's love that will transform human beings. It is. We just had a whole conversation about how people out here going crazy. Check it out. Psychotic breaks here and there and to and fro. I just told you that in Chinese medicine, not only Chinese medicine, in every tradition, if you want to be honest about it, the head, what's my little piece of paper? The head, the brain, the consciousness, the subconscious is not what leads us. It's not. It's not what guides us. It's not. Man, it's not where our decision-making capacity resides. It's not. So we have to stop trying to win people's heads with goddamn statistics about how fucked up everything is. We are not winning the future by talking at people's heads with statistics. That's not what our enemy uses. The secret to the future is to communicate right here. Because in Chinese medicine, the heart, excuse me, the heart opens its flowers, its branches out of the tongue. The root of the tongue is in the heart. And the tongue speaks out into the world the truth that resides in the heart. And the heart as the emperor, the heart as the lion, the heart governs our conscious and subconscious mind together. The heart governs the mind. Everything that the mind comes to understand about self, about beingness in space, comes from the synaptic activity centered in the heart, baby. I can get deeper, but I'll say that for another day. So when I have a conversation with you that starts with news broadcasts telling you, be careful because the heat is going to cause people to snap. It's not just the heat. The heat exacerbates psychotic breaks. It does. That's pathology 101 Chinese medicine. Uncontrolled, unbridled heat can cause psychotic occurrences. However, that is not the essence. It is, what did I say earlier when talking about my dream? It is human beings suffering in isolation, attempting to figure out what's going on in their head by themselves in isolation, away from each other, apart from each other, isolated from the whole. The heart is broken. It is emotional excesses traumatizing the heart that is causing people to have psychotic breaks. It is. Then I switch from news broadcasts to go into the Great Cosmic Mother because I want to talk to you about Mommy and I Are One. And she is saying in 1987 that these series of studies conducted in 1976 showed that people seriously afflicted, psychoanalytic patients suffering from all kinds of issues, addiction, inability to lose weight, childhood trauma, schizophrenia, psychoses, were not only made well, but permanently well by regular introduction subliminally of the phrase, Mommy and I are one. And I don't know if y'all rock with me. I don't know if y'all feel where I'm going. But this is the work of the evolutionary artist. Anyone calling themselves world changers in any way, activist, artivist, doesn't matter, spiritualist, whatever. This is the key to rapidly and radically transforming the human condition, emboldening them, and encouraging them enough to set this shit the fuck off. That's it. I was watching, I don't know if anybody watches The Witcher. It's my jam. But the completion of the last season, I guess next to the last episode, the girl wandering around in the desert. It was a boring episode, but there was a high point. She's wandering around in the desert. She's visited by the spirit of this princess who had been murdered by her clans, burnt at the stake for her magical powers, right? So she visits the girl, Princess Cirilla, in the desert. And she said, Cirilla, you have the capacity to do what none of us before you have had the capacity to do. You alone can be the one that radically and permanently changes the world. She is like, but you gonna have to get comfortable with the idea that there's some shit that you've been told you can't do. There's some things that you're gonna have to get comfortable with playing with, that you've been told you can't play with. All of the social mores and norms and rules have told you this is forbidden, this is off limits. You're gonna have to dance right up in that shit if you're gonna do what it is you say is your destiny to do. And the woman, the quote was so simple, but it was like a gut punch, baby. She said, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. She said, if you're serious about changing society, if you are serious about changing the world, it may mean you're going to have to burn this whole bitch to the ground. I said, oh my God. And we're going to have to be okay with the idea that if we do what she has called us to do, this motherfucker will never look the same again. And we're going to have to not only be okay with that, but fully embrace it. Because anything that we create is better than what is. Any future that we create on the terms that we set, even if it fails, in its failure, is better than what is right now. We're going to have to be okay with this. We're going to have to embrace it. This is the work of the evolutionary artist, to communicate what we are talking about right now in a way that has flair. You understand? That can make a bitch pop her pussy on the pole, but for the future, where she uses the power of her fucking vagina to dance the future into existence. We're going to have to be okay with all of this. Everything that has made us uncomfortable, and we got to have to be okay with it, y'all. We're going to have to be okay with the radically uncomfortable. Because anything that we are uncomfortable with, we are uncomfortable with it based on our conditioning. We have been conditioned to be uncomfortable with where magic resides. We have been made uncomfortable with where our magic resides. That's why we hate pole dancers and strippers. Power resides there. Magic resides there. That's why we hate and mistreat prostitutes. Power resides there. Magic resides there. The goddess lives among them. That's why we hate Black women. Power resides there. Magic resides there. That's why we mistreat all otherness, because power resides there, magic resides there. Even if its current presentation may be insane, because it is sometimes, I get it, but we are all made insane by the madness of patriarchy, man. We are, she said it, we are all made sick by 6,000 years of unbridled yang run amok on the mother. We are all made sick by this bullshit. So any expression of madness must be met with such empathy, with such love, that because we know that what we are looking at is the sickness of separation, the sickness of isolation. Oh my God, the sickness of isolation, imposed on us by those who need us to be isolated, who need us to be in our individual cubicle, executing, creating wealth for someone the fuck else. So, in the Matrix, I talk about it all the time. In the Matrix, when Morpheus is talking to Neo about what the Matrix is. No, not Morpheus talking to Neo. Mr. Smith talking to Morpheus. When they catch Morpheus, and he's like, look, I want out of this. Is Mr. Smith. He's like, I want out of this bitch. You feel me? I'm sick of humans. Y'all gross. You know what I'm saying? Y'all make me sick. I want out of here, right? But what does he tell Morpheus? He's like, this isn't the first Matrix. This is one of many that we've created. This has just been the most successful one. Because you motherfuckers love misery. That's me paraphrasing. But he said, you motherfuckers love misery. We attempted to build a Matrix that was perfect. An absolute utopia. That's what he said. We made it perfect. An absolute utopia where none suffered. But your programmed ass minds, now this is me paraphrasing, your minds would not accept the idea of perfection. Your minds rejected the idea that you could be free and sovereign and self determining, and the world can be made right and perfect and one. You rejected it. Now, this is me paraphrasing because Mr. Smith didn't say all this shit. This is me dissecting the messaging in this shit. The Matrix was made to convince you that suffering still is your lot in life as human beings. It is, but it ain't. Mr. Smith said, we tried to make the shit perfect for y'all. You understand? Make you happy, you feel me? But y'all rejected it. And I reject that. The conditioning is to teach us that suffering is our lot in life. It is our punishment for being born out of the body of a woman. You understand? And I am saying that perfection can be ours, that utopia can be ours. It is ours to create. That does not mean, because the earth is not perfection, as males understand perfection, which is blemishless. You see, they understand perfection as whiteness, as blemishless, as masculine. That's not what we're talking about. The earth's perfection is ever evolving because she's like, yeah, that shit is nice, but I can do better. That shit is dope, but I can do better. Let's try it like this. It is the evolving, the manifesting, and the dissolution of. She's like, that shit was nice for the spell, but now I gotta rake all this shit, rake all of it, and create something new and better. That's what perfection is in the eyes of the mother. This is what we can create. Anything that we create is better than what is under patriarchy. This is the work of the evolutionary artist. Mommy and I are one is the secret through which every evolutionary artist must take into the quiet of their creative space. Mommy and I are one. If you are a potter, it should be woven into the clay as you speak with your legs parted, creating from her body. Mommy and I are one. So that every time some random consumer drinks from the cup that you have created, they are taking the mother into her. This is the work of the evolutionary artist. We just had a conversation for a week about the mysteries of menstrual blood. I created an altar, a chakra shrine in my bedroom. And it was an execution of ritual. When I bought the wood from which I crafted these 7 pieces, it was a ritual. I was deliberate when I went to purchase the wood. I wore all white. My hair was wrapped in white. I said the prayers before leaving the home. When I brought the wood home, before it entered into my space, it was cleaned with Florida water outside. When I got ready to erect the shrine, I took my menstrual blood. With a feather. I took my menstrual blood and wrote my affirmations on each of the 7 planks of wood in my blood, while the music of the Iami was playing the entire time. This is what I am calling into existence. This is what I need. This is what I am. This is what my heart desires. When the shrine was complete, after I wrote on it with my menstrual blood, I put my menstrual blood, drops of it, into each of the 7 colors of paint that I would paint over the affirmation. I set out under the dark of the new moon the planks of wood for the shrine and all of the ornaments that would go onto it. All of the crystals, all of the stones, the pine cones, the feathers, the rocks, all of those things that would go on the shrine, bathed in the dark of the dark moon, of the new moon, consecrated with the mother's blood as it comes through me. This is the work of the evolutionary artist. When that artist paints, be prayerful. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. So that anybody who looks at that which you have produced will be fed with the spirit of the mother. This is the work of the evolutionary artist. I'm telling you, this is how we're going to change the world. I'm not saying alone. I am saying this is the magic that will break the spell. I am saying that this is what is needed to end global isolation. I am saying that this is the metaphysical chemotherapy that will cure the cancer that makes ill everybody sick on the fucking planet. That's what I'm saying. And you can accept it, you can reject it. Ain't no skin off my back at all. It is not a belief that I have. It is what it is. It is what the mother says. It is what she is communicating to all of us if we care to pay attention. Not just me. I ain't no special, peculiar vessel set aside from the rest. Every last one of us is being worked on by the mother. The difference between me and others is that I take time, I care to listen, I receive what she says and know that it is real. It is fact. So, I am Cassandra Faye Floyd, daughter of the Fates, daughter of Jacqueline Jeanette Cook, granddaughter of Marguerite Cook, great granddaughter of Annie Mae Smith, daughter of the Fates. My great grandfather is Fate. My great great grandfather is Fate. My great grandfather is Fate. My grandfather is Fate. My oldest uncle is Fate. I am Faye as a nod because I wasn't born with a penis to the Fates. I am the daughter of the Fates. Founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Thank you all for tuning in. Those of you who rode out the whole thing, thank you for your stick-with-itness, if you will. If you all are interested, let me put it a different way. If you would like to reach out to me for a reading, whether that is an esoteric, metaphysical reading, a divination, or if you need to consult with me as a healer practitioner, you can email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. Releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. If you would like to make a donation, which I am encouraging you to do, we have a lot in the works. I just showed you guys yesterday the stickers. I work first propaganda that we had made yesterday as the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, baby. Can you see that? Can you see that? Thanks to Gata GATA on Instagram. Jesus was trash too. So that's our first little propaganda campaign as the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. But we have a lot in the works. And so I am encouraging you to fund your future. I am encouraging you to contribute to the architecture of the new world with which we are all creating. If you want to contribute to this architecture, then you can contribute right now through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, or Zelle. If you're using, let's see, let me place this banner up, which I did not realize I had not. But if you want to contribute via Cash App, it is $ Iapo and Gina. These will all change within the next week. I've been waiting for our website to go live before changing all of these methods through which you could contribute, but still goes to the same place. So Iapo and Gina, that's IYAPO NGINA, $ IYAPO NGINA. You can contribute through cash. That's Cash App. PayPal is Iapo, IYAPO, the number 4, UHURU at yahoo.com. Iapo for Uhuru at yahoo.com. That's PayPal. Venmo is Cassandra Floyd. Cassandra Floyd, capital first letters. Cassandra Floyd. That's Venmo. And Zelle is my email address. releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. If you want to inquire, if you have questions, if you have suggestions, doesn't matter. You can email me at the same. releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. So I'm going to close up for today. I'm going to say have a wonderful, bountiful, prosperous weekend and day. I will reiterate, take care of yourself, hydrate with electrolyte-rich water, debunk for a little while, come up off of social media for just a half a second, like maybe spend Sunday as your social media free day. I am going to do that. So just take care of yourself, particularly take care of your mind. This is Leo season. This is the heart's season. Okay? This is the season of the heart in Chinese medicine. So it is easily aggravated. It is easily aggravated by the heat. It is easily aggravated emotionally by emotional unrest. Take care of your heart. Drink heart-nourishing teas. Hawthorn berry tea is a great one for the heart. Rose tea, nettle tea, watermelon, red fruits are really good for the heart. Keep cool. And dark leafy greens. The dark leafy greens are to soothe the liver so the liver doesn't throw more wood onto the fire of the heart. So just be mindful. Take care of yourselves. Keep cool. Don't let nobody get on your nerves, because people are going to come out of the woodworks to try to get on your nerves. I promise. In the next 28 days, people from out of nowhere, like this random weirdo that I told y'all about that went off on me yesterday, but didn't let me respond because I didn't know who she was or what the accusation was. It was really random and shit. People are going to come out of the woodworks to test your stilo child. Table that shit for another day if it's worth addressing at all. Wait till the weather gets cool to address that shit if it's worth addressing at all. Take care of your heart. Take care of your heart. Take care of yourself. And that's what I will leave y'all with. I am so grateful for you tuning in. I will be back. Like I said, I'm going to be doing daily lives on different things through the week. But the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence service as itself, eventually I'm going to have a separate YouTube channel for the temple. But in the meantime, The temple service itself is every Saturday from 11 to 1. So I will see you next Saturday for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence service. But in the meantime, I will be back on Monday. I take every Sunday off. So I will be back on Monday with the next topic that we will be jumping both feet first into. Yeah. So take care. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.